my name is Allie Schmidt. This is my dad, Dan. He owns Caitlin's Glass.
Thanks, Allie. Things like doors and windows go into making a house. But when it's your home, you expect more, like the great service and selection you'll get from Caitlin's Glass. Vinyl replacement windows from Caitlin's come with a lifetime warranty, including accidental glass breakage replacement. Also ask for custom shower doors and many other products and services. Call 962-1636. Locally owned with local employees for nearly 30 years.
Caitlin's Glass, the clear choice.
Welcome to the BeTempered podcast, where we explore the art of finding balance in a chaotic world.
Join us as we delve into insightful conversations, practical tips, and inspiring stories to help you navigate life's ups and downs with grace and resilience.
We're your host, Dan Schmidt and
Ben Spar.
Let's embark on a journey to live our best lives.
This is BeTempered.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the BeTempered podcast, episode number
1 of season 2, episode 53.
53. Here we go into year number 2, and we're going to come out with a bang. Mm-hmm. So welcome back to the podcast where we dive into stories of perseverance, purpose, and the kind of grit that inspires real change. Today's guest is someone who defines all of that and more. Misty Hollis has spent her life pouring into others through her work in local schools, service in Wayne County government, and now is the director and CEO of the Richmond Family YMCA. Her leadership has touched every corner of this community. But what makes Misty's story even more remarkable is the resilience behind it. A 2-time cancer survivor, Misty has stared down some of life's toughest battles and came out stronger. Not just for herself, but for the countless people she continues to serve and uplift every single day. Her journey is one of faith, determination, and the quiet strength that builds better communities. Misty, it's an honor to have you here. Welcome to the BeTempered podcast.
That's a great way to get me to start crying. So, good job. Oh my goodness, Dan. I've known you for a long time. That's a sensitive side of you.
Well, I do my best. No, we are excited to have you, Misty. And I told you last week when we met, your names came up many times for many different people to share your story, and it's a powerful one. So, as you've listened to some of these, and as we had that conversation last week, which was very touching, and I know today will be as well.
I'll try hard not to cry as much as I did last week. I don't know. I'm pretty emotional still.
No, it's great. So how we start every episode is to start from the very beginning. So talk about your childhood, growing up, and what it was like for you.
I am 4th generation in ministry of a preacher. So my great-grandmother was the first licensed United Pentecostal pastor in Texas. And that was at a time, and you're talking like 70 years ago. I mean, it just didn't happen for women to be in that type of role. And she built 2-3 churches. So my influence really began, and we'll talk about this later. She was probably the biggest influence on me if I think about it now, looking back as you get older. Then both grandfathers were pastors, ministers. My dad, my uncles, all were pastors, ministers. And my sister, her husband, and my brother both are in ministry. I'm the one who hasn't followed that path.
You kind of
it's in a different place. It's in a different role. But so I grew up in ministry. That's really all I knew growing up. And Texas is my home. I was born in Houston. Dad and mother evangelized for the first 2 years. So they had a white van. My baby bed was in the van, and they traveled, and this was before cell phones and any of that stuff. So I was in the 60s,
so
70s, early 70s.
They traveled all over the state of Texas or all over the country?
All over the country. Yeah. Their biggest revivals, tent revivals. I mean, they would do tent revivals, pop-up tents, and did them in churches. And he was an evangelist, so that's what he did. And then when I would say, I think mother got pregnant with my brother, and he opened what they called a home missions church in San Marcos, Texas, and started very small. And we lived in the church, the back part of the church, growing up when we first moved there. And then my brother and my sister were born in that San Marcos area. So that was my upbringing.
Okay.
Very different.
So you're in Texas, you're living in a church.
Yeah. That was when I was younger, yes.
Are you
we got a house eventually.
Okay.
Yeah. Eventually, Dad got a house.
Talk about school a little bit.
Yeah, I went to public school in second grade. I'm not sure why, but mother decided it was best to homeschool me for 1 year. My grandfather had a private school in Houston, Texas, and along with his church. And so it was mail. I mean, it was different how it is now. Everything's online. Back then you filled out coursework, you mailed it in, they graded it, you got it back. And so I did 1 year like that. And then when I was 7, close to 8 is when we moved back to Houston. And my dad went to help my grandfather in his ministry, and my mother did too.
And you were still in the public school, back in the public school
When
system?
we moved to Houston and went back to private school.
Okay.
Yeah, and I graduated. We were there until I was in 11th grade, and Dad, just life was happening in the marriage of my mom and dad, and it happens with everybody. I mean, you have little speed bumps along the way, and Dad decided he needed to focus on the family and made a huge sacrifice. He and Mom both did for the sake of the family and their marriage. And we moved to California. Didn't know us. Dad knew a family, but he didn't have a job. We went out there, and we were there for 3 years. And he did ministry out there eventually, but really it was more about just realigning the family, his marriage, his time with Mom, and making sure that they were in the right path. And you look at that, and that was hard as an 11th grader. So I went to school 1 year out there in public school, and it was just a huge shift for me. It was hard. It was a beautiful place to live. We were in Orange County, California, San Clemente, and if you've been out there, it is beautiful, just beautiful. The school was fine. San Clemente High School was fantastic. I have a good memory of it, but when we moved, we did another move to Irvine, California, still Orange County, and that was going to put me in a different school. So I requested that I do homeschool again in my senior year, and I started working. So I worked and
that had to be that had to be challenging. You go through that schooling.
Oh yeah.
To your junior year in high school.
That was tough. And
then you're not only going to be switched to a different school, but a completely different state. Culture shock.
Very much.
At that age, that had to be very challenging.
Oh no, it was tough. It was really tough. And I think Dad and Mother had talked about possibly me staying. I mean, that was some conversation of me staying in Houston, but that was not the desire of the family. I mean, we need to stay together as a unit. And we talk about it as a family now. My sister was really young, so I'm not sure she truly understands the impact and the decision that Dad made, that sacrifice they made to make that move for the sake of the marriage and the family, to keep the family together. And it was. But it was a turning point. When you look now that I'm 53 and you look back and you think about what was the turning point for our family unit and for my parents' marriage, that was it. And that was huge for Dad. I mean, Dad, you leave everything you leave your contacts, but my family's first, and we're going to make this the priority. That was a big decision. And our family unit we're very close. We're extremely close. And I think it's because of that sacrifice that was made.
So you graduate from high school, and you said you go into the workforce.
Yeah. Well, I was still working I was working in Pomona, California. Dad had some connections, and Mom did too, with a company called Wilbur Ellis, and I was an office manager. I was like 18 doing that kind of work. And it just fit me. I mean, I felt natural to be in accounts receivable. It felt natural to work in an office. I just didn't seem like it's like where I was supposed to be. It was very natural for me to do it. And so I was still going to school out there. I really didn't. Dad preached a revival outside of Brookville, Indiana. I was in Brookville, Indiana, and somebody had reached out to him in ministry and asked him to come out here and do a revival. And he fell in love with Cincinnati, Brookville, just the culture, the trees, the green space, you know, he just fell in love with it. And he came back and he was like, hey, we're going to move to Indiana.
From California.
Yeah, from California. And at that time I had changed jobs. I was actually working with a trucking company as an office manager. And I really didn't want to leave because I had felt like this, you know, I'd been out there and I'd kind of got my fit. And the owner of the company was kind to even offer time for me to stay. But again, it's about the family unit to me. And I did not want to be away from my family. It just never felt natural for me to do that. So it was like a parade when we drove into Brookville. We had the biggest moving van you could have. It was towing a vehicle. Then we had a station wagon behind that and another pickup truck behind it. And I remember, and you have to remember, I mean, I was 19, 20, and driving to Brookville, and I see home of, what is it, 1,200 people?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, oh my gosh. And it was June, July, so the corn was growing, and there's no street signs. Like, you don't know where you're going. And it was just a huge shock. It was beautiful, but I have to say I was nervous. Like, what am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to make a living? Where do I go from here? That's the first time I had that feeling of not knowing what my next steps were going to be.
So you got the culture shock of going from Texas to California,
to
and now
Indiana.
California to
Indiana.
So you eventually settle in, right?
Yeah, settle in.
So what are you doing?
Yeah, so I started working part-time down there and came up. I looked at Miami University, IUPUI, and because of me feeling like I was a non-traditional student, I knew I was going to have to work. I knew I was going to have to go to school at the same time. Those two campuses just didn't fit me very well. And the person I was living with at the time, a farmer, he's like, hey, you can go up to Richmond. There's some sort of campus up there that you can look at. And came up here, and IU had just opened their second building. Hayes Hall just opened it. And it fit for me, and I started working up here. I went into First Call Temporary Services, just walked right in and said I need a job, and they hooked me up with Centennial Wireless. You probably weren't even born yet.
Yeah, I remember the name. Yeah. I don't know what year that would have been.
You probably weren't even born.
Yeah.
But that's how I met the singing fireman, Brian Benedict. He was working at Centennial Wireless too. And both of us, I mean, that's how I first met him. But I was secretary there, and I did little odd and end jobs until I landed at the Chamber of Commerce. That was probably my biggest break.
So you get a break to go to the chamber. So talk about that, what that was like.
It was good. I was a fireball. I mean, I had to learn to temper my aggressive personality. I think about things I did then. You know, you walk into a place and you just, hey, we need a membership for a booth. And I just didn't have any fear. It was just interesting from when I look at it now. And I remember Doug Peters was the chamber president. He brought me in a couple of times. He's like, you just need to cool your jets. You're a little pressure heavy on the sales part. You need to just cool off. But it was such a great opportunity for me. I met some amazing people that have mentored me through life. I mean, David Stidham is still my mentor. That's how I met him, was through the chamber. Names like Jan Passmore, Bob Rosa, Alan Rosar. I mean, there's just a list of people that that were a part of my life then, that taught me so much, and they didn't have to. You know, right. I think about that. I think about Jan Passmore didn't have to invite me to Kiwanis. He didn't have to take me to lunch and teach me the ways to kind of sell membership and sell booths at an expo. And you know, he didn't have to do that. And people here in this community, I feel like they adopted me. I mean, I was a complete stranger, young, and they pulled me into their life and helped me be a part of their life.
Well, I think it's kind of cool to hear that, because, you know, when you're in your early 20s and all you want to do, if somebody tells you to do it, you're just going to do it, you know, because you don't understand until you get older. We want to do that, but maybe we want to go about it this way or that way. So those are all things that you learn. So it's cool to hear that, because I think back on to when I was 23 years old and I was just a hard driver and I'm going to do this and I'm not, you know, you figure things out with experience.
Yeah. And it's still, I don't mean to be, it's still hard for young women to move into, and you'll learn this with your girls. Your girls will experience it. I don't know if you have kids or not.
I got boys, but
you got boys. It is. I mean, it's still a little hard it's better now, but then for women to be in a leadership position. And we had a committee, we were hosting at the chamber at that time. I mean, the chamber membership was 900 members. I mean, it was a very large chamber membership base. And we had, we hosted the Midwest Professional Women's Conference. So we'd have women from Ohio, Kentucky, Illinois, and Indiana that would drive in for this conference every year. And the women that were a part of it, Mrs. Rowland, Diana Pappin, Pat James, there were professional, Mary Hyab, women that were part of that committee that helped me too maneuver about being a professional woman in this area and how to be graceful, but also you can still be strong. Yeah. And those moments have still stayed with me. It's not as difficult now, but then 30 years ago it was.
Yeah. Challenging. Yeah. That's pretty cool. So you're in the chamber, you're getting settled in the community, meeting lots of people.
Yeah.
What's next?
Yeah. I had the blessing of meeting Mayor Dennis Andrews, and he, out of the clear blue at a ribbon cutting in the Rose Garden one day, pulled me aside and said, I have a place for you in my administration. I'd love to talk to you about it. And I was still going to IU East. I was one of those I think it ended up taking me 12 years to get my degree because I was working and going to school at the same time, and then decided to get married and all of that in 97. But he pulled me aside and asked if I would have some interest in being a part of his administration. I met with him, and I felt it was an opportunity of a lifetime for me. My degree was going to be political science, and I felt being able to understand local government and opening that door was the right thing to do. And it was a hard choice to leave the chamber. It really was. I had no problem with that job. I loved working at the Chamber of Commerce. But going to the city did open up a lot of other opportunities for me with relationships with people, and then understanding the basic of local government. And it was a good experience.
Now, you kind of glossed over something there. You said you got married.
I did.
So let's talk about that.
I did. Yeah, Mr. Hollis. I met him at IU East, and I fell in love with him first time I saw him, and he did not love me back. He did not love me back. There's 8 years difference there. So I chased him around IU East for a couple of years, and he finally just stopped running. This is the truth.
So you caught him.
He just said, I just got tired of running. Anyway, so we dated. May 1995 is when we started dating, and 97 we got married. But yeah.
So you finally caught him.
I finally
tied him down.
Tied him down. Yeah.
You're working for the city in an administrative position.
Yeah.
So things are good.
Yeah, life is good. Life was good.
So keep talking on the city part, on the marriage part, and things are progressing.
Yeah, my first hiccup in life that I wasn't ready for, because he was older, I felt we needed to hurry up and create a family. And my first hiccup was we got married, and within a month I lost the first baby. And it was hard, but it wasn't like, it's like, oh, okay, we can do this again. Still at the city. And then we tried again and got pregnant. We were excited, and that one got us to close to 3 months, and we lost that one too. That one was harder, and we were about year 5 in our marriage about that time. And that is when kind of the reality of my relationship with the Lord, my personal relationship with the Lord, not just because I was raised in the church and heard about it my whole life, but that's when my personal relationship with the Lord started to bubble up, and realizing I needed to have one. I needed, is this real? Is it not real? Questioning a lot of things about faith, and what did I do to deserve this? Those questions started at that time too, and it just was hard. And it became a challenge for our marriage, because with Tim being older, we can have this conversation now. At that moment, I was so focused on having a family, And I felt that was my role, to be able to give him a child and give our family a child, my parents a grandchild. It's like that was the next step, right? You get married, you have family, get your degree, life is good. And when I started realizing that my body wasn't being able to give me that just put a lot of questions in my mind. Tim didn't know really how to respond. I mean, this was really difficult for him. He's an introvert. He internalizes things. He has to think through it first, where I'm the external person, where we got to talk about it, we got to deal with it, we got to plan, we got to fix it. So let's go. And he's like, we're not, and that's when, I would say if there was any time in our marriage that I questioned things, that was, I didn't know what to do. And so I sought counseling at that point.
So talk about that a little bit.
Yeah.
There came that point, and a lot of stress, a lot of friction, a lot of questioning.
Oh yeah.
How'd you get through it?
Yeah. It's embarrassing to say you need help. And it's a hard step to, you want everybody to feel confident in who you are and not that you have to show this weakness. And it was my first time to say I need help. I needed to figure out what was going on with me mentally and emotionally. And it was the right thing for me. We had a Christian counselor here in town. He's retired now. I look back at that moment with him, and it was the right thing. I needed that. He was so good. He really helped me understand and I hope I don't offend people that are watching this. I want to be careful about this. But growing up in the denomination I grew up in, United Pentecostal, a part of the life and the culture of that denomination is about family. And I don't want to say it's just that denomination. I think it's a part of any denomination that you go into that, we're going to have family pizza night. We're going to have family movie night. Hey, we're doing the Easter egg hunt. It's a family thing. And so kids are just a part of that whole conversation and things that you do in a church. And subliminally, the message is you're not worthy unless you are having a child. And when we got to that point and he helped me understand I didn't do anything wrong. It's not anything that I did. It's just a part of life. Your body, some people are able to have kids, some people are not. This isn't a punishment. Now it becomes, what can you do and what role can you play if your body isn't going to allow you to have a child? So I believe it helped Tim we didn't go together. It was just me. He went separately once or twice with him. But it really was my journey. It was something I had to work through. And there were still things that needed to work through with my parents and the things they went through. And, you're still uprooted, you move. There's just a lot of things you have to go through. And so I went through that with him, and he really helped me. And for me, I needed a faith-based counselor. And that's what it was, just a perfect timing. When I look back at things and people, and it's like, okay, I was at the right place at the right time with the right person that guided me through that first part of my journey.
So what I want you to do is and I hope everybody listening understands what you just said, is that how important it is, especially in today's world and today's society where everything seems so perfect in everyone's lives. Yeah. You were very vulnerable there to share that story because I know that it still impacts you to this day.
Very much so. Yeah, I'm tears in my eyes now. Yeah. I remember the day I lost the babies. I remember the day that I celebrated the babies, that I was pregnant. And we were in Texas with the second one, and so I was able to tell my grandparents. We drove up to Dallas to see the other set of grandparents, and they had a little shower for me. So when you lose and you have items, I've got baby items in my house, and knowing that I don't have a place for those, it's hard. And I have a lot of friends who have lost babies and then they had children. So happy for them. But I do know that those moms still remember the ones that they didn't get to hold. And that's the hard, that's the hard part. I got to a point though where my prayer to God was, if this isn't my if this isn't my role, if I'm not going to be a mother to children, then bless me and help me have other ways, and we'll talk about that obviously,
Yeah.
where I can have kids in my life and serve kids and serve families. And that was the prayer. I mean, because that I needed fulfillment from that perspective. I needed to be able to know that if I'm going to volunteer with kids or whatever it might be, I still need to feel like there's a fulfillment of being around children.
And so what did that do for you and Tim's relationship?
We got better. I mean, it was, luckily he was going through a program at our church called Joshua's Men. And so he was meeting with men regularly once a month. And then he also led a group. I think for him, that was what he needed. He needed to be able, I know there was a night that there was, he shared with me that he was vulnerable about the feelings and the frustrations of being a husband and not being able to fix it. So, from I don't know what to say to her. I can't fix it. I can't fix her body. I can't fix her emotions. And when a commercial comes on and it's a baby commercial, I'm sitting there crying at the TV. What do you do? I mean, it's like, you can only hold her so much. And so I know that there was a night that he shared that was a part of the men's night during Bible study, that they talked through that, and the men helped him a lot. So thankfully that helped. I think he was going through that. I was doing the counseling. Tim's he grew up he was a preacher's kid too. So his walk with the Lord, he had to do that on his own and learn. And so I'm blessed. I'm blessed to have a husband that I feel unconditionally loves me and will fight for me and fight for our marriage. And that's where we were. I mean, we got through it.
Yeah, which is amazing.
Yeah.
What I guess my point to all that is that if there's someone out there who might be going through what you
Absolutely.
have went through, to not be afraid to reach out and seek counseling.
Yeah, it's nice to talk to friends. It is, but I needed help.
Yeah,
and I knew it. I mean, I knew it was to a point where you know it when you're breaking down and you're crying when you don't need to be crying and you can't sleep and certain things are triggering your emotions. You just get to points like, I need the help.
Yeah.
And that's where I was. And I know that's hard. It's hard for people to ask for it. It worked for me.
Great advice.
Yeah.
So you are working through that at that point in your life. What's going on outside of that with work? You're still in the government.
Yeah, stayed in that vein. I moved across the street and worked for county government for a little bit, and did a visioning program called Wayne County Vision. And I think that's when I first met you. Actually, is when we started the Young Adult Professional Network.
Yeah.
Through that process, and it's called Hype now.
Yeah.
Kind of interesting how I'm happy it's still going on.
Right.
But that's how it started,
Yeah.
and it was a great experience. I mean, it really linked me into understanding the rest of Wayne County because I was so focused on Richmond. It opened up a lot of doors for me to understand Wayne County, understand planning, development, how that all works. And still, I wasn't looking for a job, but there was one that came up in Winchester, and the facility was an outdoor team building facility. And I just thought, wow, I am a girly girl. I am not a woodsy girl. But I went out there with my high heels and I interviewed. And there were 3 really good candidates that became friends of mine, actually, for the job of director. And I got hired. And basically, I moved my way up to Winchester. And it really opened up another set of doors for me. But it was the main reason they started the camp was for kids that were in the juvenile program.
Okay.
And it was supposed to be another opportunity to take them out, kind of outdoors, team building. And once you go through the ropes course, you actually debrief each section. I don't know if you've ever done one. It really is phenomenal. I mean, I would love to bring it here to Richmond one day. But the concept to it, because once you learn as a team, you got 7 to 10 people that are going through this section, whether it's climbing over the wall or whether it's they call it a spider's web, and you're getting every team member through the web and how you're doing it, communicating and planning through it. Then after you're done with it, you sit down and you debrief. Well, there's a lot of stuff that comes out in that. I mean, you've got people that you have to trust that they're going to lift you up and get you through the spider's web without touching a piece of the rope. And you're dealing with, at times people were yelling at each other and screaming at each other, and then you've got to calm them down. And So it was good for me to understand team building, to understand the mind of young people that are struggling. And then we started opening it to schools, and we got kids from schools out there. And then we started bringing the business community out there. It was just a really, really wonderful job. And out of the clear blue, Dr. Borf called me here at Richmond Schools. They had received a sizable grant called Safe Schools, Healthy Students. And he asked if I would sit down and meet with him, and I said, oh, no, I love my job. I love being out here. I know people were surprised that I worked out there, but I just loved it. And then, I don't know, 2 months later passes by, he calls me again. He's like, hey, will you give me a chance? Just sit down with me. Well, I did, and Tim and I went home that night, and we did what we call family planning. It's 2 of us, but we were going to do a family plan. What are our goals as a couple? What do we need to do? And as we walked through, I had my own personal mission statement. He had his personal mission statement of where we felt God was leading us. And when we had saw that, it was on the sticky paper on the wall. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, this is what I need to do. I mean, and I cried. I didn't want to leave Camp Yale, but I felt this was the next phase for our marriage. This was the next phase for my future. I could have bigger impact on kids at Richmond Schools. I made that decision to come back at Richmond Schools, and that was 10 years.
You go from helping kids and businesses and everything up in Winchester. You come to the Richmond Community Schools, and you're working there. So you make another big change.
A big change, yeah.
Right? And things keep moving forward. Yeah. So talk about that.
Yeah, so that's also when the politically things started opening up. I ran for city council at that time, and again, I think because I was at Richmond Schools, I started seeing things I was concerned about in Richmond, and I felt, okay, it's time for me to step up. You can complain so much, and then it's time. It's time to say, okay, well, how am I going to solve this solution by myself? Not by myself, and we had a great team. I mean, Phil Quinn, and Ron Oler, who's the current mayor, he ran at large, and me and Clay Miller, Jeff Locke. I mean, we just had a really, really solid group of people that ran, and Kelly Cruz was on there too. And I think that was my first time to really see, it didn't matter about party. That council, we could work together. We might have internal little fights and stuff, but we worked together, and we had our own goals. We shared those with the mayor. This is what we expect as council we're going to get done. It was just a great group of people to serve with. And then I served again after that. So while I'm working at Richmond Schools, I'm also on city council and but that's when that political door opened up for me as well. And then, I mean, I guess, you think about, I didn't apply for any, some of these just all popped up. I mean, all these opportunities, and God just kept opening up the door. And David Stidham, one of my mentors, walked in Richmond School's office one day, and it was after Dr. Borf announced he was leaving. And so I wasn't sure if I needed to stay there or not. And he said, we have an opportunity at the Y if you're willing to look at it. And so I did, and that's where I'm at. Still there after 10 years.
So you leave the schools, you go to the Richmond Family YMCA, where you're now the executive director, the CEO, the big kahuna, right? And so talk about the why a little bit. Talk about life in general, and there's some major things that are happening.
Yeah, are we good on time?
Yeah,
I just feel like I'm talking, and
you're
just looking at me.
Good.
We've got no time.
I feel like we need popcorn or something.
Kevin's got some. No, you're good. Don't worry about time.
I don't want to bore people.
Oh, you're not boring anyone.
No, anyway, so I first year in the Y was really close to closing their doors again. Like, there's these stories every time you hear, if you grew up here, it's like, oh, the Y might stay open, might not stay open. We were at that stage again. And luckily, we had just some amazing people, Dave Stidham, Paul Linkle, that stepped up and said, look, we'll help you financially, but you're going to have to turn the ship around. We had a good membership base. We were probably running about, 200 kids in sports, and we had one after-school site. So it was going good. And then the board, we just focused on leadership, getting the board back together, and how do we need to have a stronger board. And David Stidham stayed in another year as board president, which helped a lot for me personally. And so we ended up with a good board, and 10 years later, we're at 600 kids in sports and almost 300 kids in childcare, 2 daycares. And then we have after-school care at Richmond, Northeastern, and in Liberty, and looking at one other school to open up after-school care right now. So it's been amazing, but a part of that is a board and a part of its vision. But during all that, so you kind of feel like, okay, hey, we're getting there. And I ended up one morning waking up and I couldn't walk. And I had L4 disc had herniated all the way into my sciatic nerve. And long story short, it took like 3 or 4 months for people to accept what was really wrong with me, and ended up having back surgery. So that was another time in life. It's like, okay.
Yeah, back surgery is nothing to mess around with.
No. So that was a time, it's like, okay, that was 8 years ago, and that was a hiccup. Well, you have to really trust the Lord, because my job is fundraising, and that puts you out. I mean, I was out of commission for a while, and I'm having to really trust God to help keep the doors open and fundraising open. And people stepped up that just amazed me. I mean, just called and said, what do you need from us? And I would say, a check. So funny, the aggressive person working at the Chamber of Commerce wasn't as aggressive. It just seems like when you get older, it's just fascinating for me to feel like I don't have that same, not the drive, but it's just like I'm a little bit shyer than I was then.
Well, maybe maturity,
I don't
maybe
know.
Life experiences. You learn things,
Yeah.
communication with people, You still got that fire. I can see it.
Gosh, it's temper. You need to temper me. Temper me.
Oh, you're tempered. You're tempered.
But so we got through that, and still growing and still going. And again, I shared this with you. The YMCA's mission is still faith-based. I mean, our mission is still around teaching Christian principles through our initiatives. I mean, that's very much still our base. So having a board that is faith-based is huge. I mean, they buy into the mission. They buy into prayer. They know if you pray, God will answer. At times they've had faith that I didn't have faith, and they did. And they walked out and spent money. And I'm like, well, okay, guys, if you think it's what we need to do, and God will take care of us. And he does. He just keeps doing it. Like, okay. But so 6 years ago, out of just doing a regular mammogram, I was faithful to always do a mammogram because my great-grandmother, who was a pastor, had breast cancer. So I was very faithful to always want to make sure that I had that. And we were doing Christmas tree sales. That's one of our big fundraisers. I was in my Christmas tree attire, and I went out just thinking no big deal, going to have mammogram, walk out. They kept bringing me back in, and I thought, okay, this isn't good. And by the 3rd time they did another mammogram, she said, we really need to get you back, and we're going to do an ultrasound. And I said, I don't have time. I got to get back at the tree light. I said, can we reschedule this? Well, yeah, but you need to come in pretty soon. So I did, and it turns out I had breast cancer, and that was shocking. I did not anticipate that. I wasn't in my plan. It wasn't.
Can you remember when they told you?
Oh, I do.
Your initial reaction?
I do. So we had the ultrasound, and they brought me into an office, and I still think the medical community, this is their job, right? They tell you, oh, you have cancer, or it looks like you have cancer. And I still sometimes feel like they need to have training in how to help people through that conversation, because that was as blunt it was. She said, well, it looks like it could be cancer. What we'd like to do is go ahead and plan your surgery. Excuse me? Like, I don't even, my husband doesn't even know yet. And she said, well, we're just going to it's just a biopsy. We're going to get you in. We're going to do the biopsy. And I went, no, we're not. And she said, what? I'm like, no, I want a second opinion. I need a second opinion. I need to talk to my husband. He doesn't know yet. I need time to think through this. I wasn't expecting this today. And she said, well, we need to get you in right away. And I said, well, I appreciate that, but I need time. So I left, and the human behavior is very interesting. So there's outside the breast center at Reed is the grocery store. Good Lord,
There is.
Yeah, is a store. I went. That's how I dealt with it. I went in and started looking at stuff in the store, because it's like, can't be true. This can't be. Okay, I just need time just to be here a little bit. And I didn't buy anything. I just needed to look at stuff and pulling out clothes and looking at it. And I get in my car and I called my husband, and he said, well, we're going to do a second opinion. I mean, we need to do one just for the sake of feeling good about it. And so my dad had just finished his treatment with rectal cancer and survivor. I mean, and I watched God work miracles with him because he really wasn't so far gone with his. So I realized, okay, God can do this. I mean, we can do this. Still not real to me, though. I mean, it's just still going through the motions. You feel so numb. Like you just can't, this isn't real. And we got into IU, thankfully, because Dad was a patient there. So we were able to get into IU and started their testing and their process. And after I officially received, I'll never forget, I was having an executive committee meeting at the Y. My phone rang, and I said, I need to take this call, which is unusual. I don't ever leave a meeting. Walked out, and it was the doctor, and she was letting me know, and it was the 31st of December, letting me know that I had cancer. That was confirmed. And so by February 1st is when I had my first surgery. So it was pretty impactful. I don't know. You go through that process of denial. I mean, every stage. Grief, denial, anger, all of that was a part of it, fear. So sorry, got emotional here. The thing that was important for me, because again, this is like the next step, right, with my relationship with the Lord. Back surgery helped me get there, but this was like me owning it. Is it real?
Yeah.
Is this real? Are you really the God that I serve? Are you really my Savior? Are you really my healer? And so that was the step, again, where I feel like I became the closest to the Lord, and my relationship with God became my relationship, not my parents, not my grandparents, not my great-grandmother, mine. And that's where it started for me. So, yeah.
That's pretty powerful.
Yeah.
So, you're undoubtedly questioning, everything because you've just been given the diagnosis that everyone fears. But you flip it upside down and you say, okay, this is my journey. This is where I have to trust in you. Yeah. And I'm going to get through this with your help. So you go into surgery, go through the treatments, kind of talk about that.
Yeah.
And that was not going to be your last test.
No, it was not. IU was amazing. I mean, I had a great journey with them. We chose to do the removal of the cancer and reconstruction at the same time, which at the time it made sense on paper, but it was a very, very difficult surgery to recover from. My surgery was 1st of February, and I didn't leave my house until mid-March. And my husband, not that you just go through so much. Like, you don't want people to see you. You're embarrassed. You don't. But they had felt confident that when they went in to do the surgery that they were going to be able to get all of the cancer. The call 2 days, so, this is all worth it. We're going to do it. We're getting it out. Reconstruction surgery at the same time. And 2 days later, I get the call from the doctor, and I did not have clear margins. And what that means is that when you remove cancer, you're supposed to have margins around the cancer that should be clear. Well, mine were not. And so I remember falling into the recliner. My mom was with me. Tim was getting ready to leave for work. I remember just collapsing in the recliner and just weeping uncontrollably. Like, this is not the plan, God. We were supposed to go in and have surgery, and I'm supposed to be back at work in 4 weeks. This is not the plan. And I hated this for Tim because he had to leave watching me in that place. And I just said it wasn't worth it. This wasn't worth it. And I didn't tell you this. So everybody might have a different way of understanding how God works, but I was at probably my deepest part of trying, just like, this doesn't make sense. You've abandoned me again. I'm questioning everything. And my mom's cell phone rings, and it is one of my dad's mentor. He lives in Florida. He's a minister. And I hear his voice say, "Where's Misty?" And my mom said, she's here. And he said, I'm in prayer and God told me to call. And I know I didn't tell you that the other day. And she handed me the phone and he said, I'm on my knees and God said to call you. I hadn't talked to Ralph Sykes. I don't talk to Ralph. He's my dad's mentor. He's not mine. And he prayed over me and he said, God's not finished with you yet. You need to stay strong. So got off the phone and, okay, God, here we go. Let's do this. So I had to have a second surgery to get the rest of the cancer out. And the weird part of all that, too, is, and I can tell you this, when she called us after the second surgery, she said there were no cancer. Like, she said, I feel bad. There wasn't any cancer there. Like, they'd gone and it was gone. So, okay. Okay.
Talk about a range of emotion.
I know. Yay. So went back to work and started my radiation treatment at Reed and just kept moving forward. People are amazing in this community. I mean, I had friends that stepped forward and made sure we had food and made sure that we were okay in that first journey. Every year went back for my mammogram, and every year it was, hey, you're cancer-free, 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 cancer-free. Well, September 2023, I just started noticing, like, my eyes started sagging, and I started getting some pain in my neck over here, and I went to my eye doctor, and my eye doctor said they call that Horner syndrome, and it's usually tied to cancer. And so he's like, we got to get an MRI. Well, they did have my brain, my head, and came out clear. Nothing was wrong. And he's like, well, this is a little weird. So, but it is what it is, right? Well, then my pain in my neck just kept continuing to get worse, my arm, my shoulder here. So I sought help, and every doctor I went to said nothing was wrong. We did MRIs, and everybody kept saying nothing's wrong. So June 2024, I'm in my shower, and I am asking God to help heal my body because I'm in so much pain. At this point, I can't exercise. I can't do weights. I can't lift my arm. I can't sleep. I'm in a recliner. I've moved to a recliner.
Where's your head at? What are you thinking?
I did not think cancer. I thought that wasn't in my head at all. I didn't know what was wrong because everybody kept saying I was okay. Like, everybody, they'd look at these MRIs. I had CT scans. I had 2 MRIs, and every doctor that I saw kept saying nothing was wrong. So I got out of the shower that day, and I'm done. I'm going to go to my back surgeon. I'm going to go to a spine surgeon because if it's in my neck, maybe it's, there's something else. By then, you could feel the knots in my neck, like they were bulging in my neck. And they got me in so quick, Ortho ND got me in so quick. And 15 minutes, he let me know that there were masses that were blocking my nerves and that we needed to have an MRI. I'm like, okay, this will be my 3rd MRI. He said, no, we're going to do your MRI on the brachial plexus, your shoulder, and this part of the neck. And so 4 days later, he called back and goes, we got to get you back at IU. You've got cancer. He says, what it appears to me is that what you have is cancer. So my cancer surgeon was available to read the MRI. She called me a couple days later and said that it appeared it was in my lymph nodes, in my neck, and in my shoulder and a pec muscle at that time. That was before the PET scan. And she said, I'm sorry, Misty, I don't think the cancer was ever out of your body. I think you had it there. I think it was in your lymph nodes. Well, the mammogram only just focuses on the breast part, and they did not do a PET scan. So it had been growing for 5 years, is what she still believes happened.
So now where's your head at?
Anger. I was so angry. I was angry at every doctor that couldn't find out what was wrong with me. I was angry at the institution. I wasn't angry at God at that point.
But you were questioning again.
Oh yeah. Like, why? Why are we right back at the same place I felt like we got out of? Why are we back here again?
Where's Tim at? What's he?
Tim is the protector, right? I mean, his job, he felt, was to make sure I was okay. And so we scheduled biopsy, and it was the same exact cancer that was in my breast before. And when we got the final word, all the way home from IU to Richmond, there wasn't one conversation. We didn't not one word. And I wasn't mad at him about that. I was in my place. He was in his place, right? I mean, and we've been married 27 years now. So it's, we needed that space to try to figure it out. So yeah, when we got home, the difficult conversation happened about what do we do? Do I seek treatment? Do we just let it go? And that's the first time I have ever been with my husband and see him weep about me and about where we are and what we needed to do as a couple. We don't have kids, it's just us. We're all we got. And so it's one of those moments where you run to the Lord, not away. And I think that's the heart, a lot of people get angry and it's like, okay, I'm mad at you right now, God. But for me, I had to visualize running to him. It's the fight. I'm running into the fight. I'm not running away from the fight. And at that moment with Tim, it became about Tim. It became about us. Like, we got to fight for each other. It's because it is. We don't have kids. So, and we still talk about it. It's like, dear Lord, like, who's going to change my diaper when I'm 80 years old?
So something else I want to ask you, you still got a job.
Yeah.
Right? What's going on back at the Y while you're going through all this?
Well, first of all, I have an amazing staff. They're fantastic. I really do. They are just phenomenal. And Butch Thompson is my operations manager, and he's like, what do we need to do? You just tell me, just let us know. And that the team was amazing. I didn't have to worry. Money, you always need to fundraise, you need to do it. So the staff, number one's fantastic. Number two, again, the board. I cannot tell you how you're in a board meeting and somebody says we need to pray for Misty right now. They would lay hands on, at one meeting they laid hands on me, another meeting they prayed over me, the emails, the phone calls, the text. And I have a board member, Tom Carrico. He grew up in this community, and he said, it's about you. We got to get you healthy, because we know if you're healthy, we'll be okay. Get you healthy. So that was their focus, is what do we need to do to help you, and we'll get through it. And they did. They've helped me. Yeah, it's been amazing. Boy,
if that doesn't tell you you're at the right spot.
Oh, right? I know.
You're at the right location, working and working with the right people in the right community. So to get rid of the cancer, what's the next stage?
Well, they did a lot of research. So just to make it a little bit more complicated, our nerve system flows from the top of our head down through our neck, across our chest, and the lymphatic system is extremely important to our health, to our body. And so they actually had to take it to a tumor board, is what they call it at IU, and they had to analyze, should they do surgery? Should they not do surgery? Should we do the radiation first? So it was decided that surgery would be too dangerous because of where it was located, so that it could create nerve issues in my face and my hands and my arms. So they determined, let's go ahead and they found out it was estrogen-based cancer, so put me on shots and put me on pills. And then we started that first, and then I did 6 to 7 weeks of radiation at Muncie, at IU Ball. And again, this community is amazing. You can drive like 2 weeks. You can do pretty good the first 2 weeks of treatment. The third week is when you start getting tired. And the treatment was in my neck and in my shoulder. So the neck part, they had pretty much said, look, you might be on a feeding tube. You're going to lose your voice. This is going to be a very difficult journey for you. And I believe in supplements. I take a lot of supplements. My diet, we changed my diet. And I had like a couple of weeks where my voice was really soft spoken. I still have raspy issues with it, but we started the journey. And again, you think about that, how are we going to do this? So Tim's going to have to take off time from work and driving me up there after those like 4 weeks, and it's every day. And I had friends call that were retired, and it wasn't, how can I help? It was, tell me when your appointments are, and I'm going to drive you. So I had a driver every day of the week, volunteers drive me to Muncie for 5 weeks. It was amazing. And the issue with food, like I couldn't really eat. So they started feeding Tim. Like they would just drop food off for Tim. So he didn't have to worry about food because that was me being so tired. I couldn't cook. I couldn't. So my routine was I was picked up at the house by 8:30, drive me up for treatment, be home. I'd taken about a 20-minute, 30-minute nap, and then I worked every day except the last 2 weeks. I worked from home, but I worked every day for about 4 hours. I'd go in for 4 hours. Hard, difficult, but I wanted the staff. I didn't want the staff to feel like I wasn't fighting. I wanted them to see that I was fighting. I wanted the staff to know that I'm right here, not going anywhere. I might look horrible today. I might sound horrible today, but I'm right here. And so that was important to me to make sure I was there for them.
You still got that 20-year-old little girl at the chamber in you.
Yes.
That's amazing. So you go through all the treatments. The community's amazing. And we talked about this last week because I happened to go to a funeral, I think the day before you and I met. And just how important it is, I think, it's one thing when something happens to an individual or to a family, something tragic or a diagnosis of cancer. It's one thing to reach out and say, hey, I'm here for you if you need anything, or hey, I'm praying for you. It's another thing to lay hands on you and to pray with you. It's another thing to call you and say, when's your appointment? I'm going to pick you up.
Yeah.
And I hope anyone listening out there, I know we have a ton of great listeners, great people who care about individuals and about helping others. But I want you to think about that next time something happens to someone that you know, maybe somebody you don't know. Instead of just saying, how can I help? Mm-hmm. Saying, hey, when's the treatment?
Yeah.
I'm going to get you there.
Yeah.
I'll be there on Monday. I think that is super impactful. And I think it's very important for people to hear because I get caught in that too. Yeah. There's things that happen all the time and you say, hey, I'm here. You send a text. I'm here for you. Let me know if I can help in any way.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Yeah. Right? You don't ask. It's hard. I have a friend right now that's going through treatment and she's been driving herself for 2 weeks. And I called her yesterday on her drive up and I said, how are you doing? She said, today's hard. I'm like, well, from here on out, I'm going to look at my schedule. I'm going to do the same thing. 1 day a week. I can't do 5, right. But if I can do 1, but you don't want to bother people. You don't want, as the patient, I don't want to have to say, Dan, do you have time to help me? I don't want to do it because it's your fight. It's your journey. But you're right. When somebody calls or sends the text, when's your next appointment? And I had pickleball people. I had Coddingtons, Kathy Rowland. I had Rachel Hughes. Betty Blank. I can go through the list of people that just gave of their time just to drive me, and and that allowed me to rest. It allowed me to, if I needed to do some work in the car, I could. But just letting me sit there and rest while they drove.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It is.
So you get through those treatments. Yeah. Now what? The
longest wait ever. My last radiation treatment was December 6th. And March, the end of March is when I had my PET scan. So apparently radiation works in your body 3 to 6 months, and so they still wanted it to settle. I'm still taking the shots. I'm still taking the pills. That all was still happening. And but they ended up having it at the end of March. And my sister was with me, and we walked in, and I anticipated, the one thing I didn't say about this is it was in my rib. They found cancer in my 8th rib. They didn't know if it was in the tissue or the bone because it was so small. And they all agreed we have to focus on your lymph nodes first. So let's do that and your pec muscle, and then we'll come back and focus on the rib. So really when my sister went with me and I thought we were just going to I felt good about the lymph nodes because the swelling had gone down. I felt better. I wasn't in pain like I was, but I really didn't ever pray about the rib or think about the rib because I expected her to say, okay, we've done this. Now we're going to focus on the rib. That was the plan. Well, so when she sat down and she looked at me and my sister, and Tim was on the phone, he couldn't be with us. She said, well, I have great news. She said, everything's clear. And I said, the the lymph nodes, right? She said, no, everything. Are we sure?
Been down this road before.
Yeah. And she said, she turned the report back over to me. She's like, that's what it says. Okay. Well, my sister is way more hyper than I am. And she's holding my hand and I'm like, how is that possible? And she went, what are you talking about? Like, this is a miracle. What's wrong with you? She's just barking at me. But I didn't ask for the rib. I didn't ask for healing in the rib. I didn't ask. So I was shown mercy. And, but it took me 24 hours because I really did not believe it. Because you're right. I heard this before and I've got side effects. My eye still isn't normal. I'm worried about that still. I have lymphedema. I'm worried about that still. This just doesn't seem like this is possible. And it took over 24 hours before I even posted anything on Facebook. And I still worry. I still am like, is it possible? But it is. I mean, the report is the report.
As strong as you are in your faith, why do you worry?
I know, right?
What are you afraid of?
I see you're going to make me feel guilty, and I'm going to have my own altar call here. Thanks, Dad.
Sorry.
Good Lord. No, I know. And I feel bad about it. I mean, it's a circle of thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Lord. Really? Are you sure? Like it's just this circle. And I think it still comes back to that, 5 years ago, 6 years ago. And I think it's like, okay, I was told, but maybe I'm not. And I still, it was 2 a.m. in the bed and I was looking up at the ceiling and I'm thinking, okay, what other tests can we take? Well, the blood work shows I'm fine. PET scan shows I'm fine. So what else an MRI is not going to show anything. The PET scan's the best thing for cancer to look at. So I'm like, okay, what else? And I just, in my own guilt or a voice in my own head or the Lord, however it was like, if you can't believe the machine, like you can't believe the test, then you need to trust in God. Like this is another gift. Accept it. So you're right. I mean, as strong as my faith is, I'm still in this cycle of like, is it real? Is it real? Is it real? Is it real? My dad, and if Dad watches this, he'll be yelling at the screen probably to say, you're supposed to believe, accept it. It's the healing.
You're human.
Yeah,
it's okay.
It is.
It's okay. Yeah.
But it's another opportunity God's given me, and I know that I'm not done. I think, my scripture, two things Dad told me when I started the journey the first time was journal whatever you're thinking. If it's anger, if it's scare, if it's fear, whatever it is, you journal it, raw feelings, and then find one scripture that's your scripture that you hold on to. And mine was Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you, right? I'm not going to harm you, but I'm going to take care of you. And so I held on to that scripture, and that is it's Angela McDaniel. She is a friend of ours, and her son is still going through some illness, but she had that on a board and she delivered it to us. And on the back of it, it has that was his, and she passed it on to me, and I'll be passing it on to somebody else someday. But right now, I'm still holding it. It's still in my bedroom.
That's pretty cool. That's your scripture. And when you're there with your mom and you're breaking down on the recliner and your dad's friend calls you and prays for you, what do you tell you about the plan? You know, like
God's not done with you.
God's not done with you. He still has a plan for you. And then that's your scripture. Like that's just, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. So I'm still here. I'm still kicking. Maybe not as energy level might not be as strong as it has been in the past, but we're still here. And I'm grateful for the opportunity to still be here.
Yes.
Yeah.
What are you afraid of?
I'm not afraid of dying. I mean, I've been faced with this, I'm not afraid of dying. I'm afraid of not being with Tim, my husband. I know that's weird for me. I mean, but that day we had our very heart-to-heart conversation in that living room, and it is just the two of us. It's like, I'm not ready to let you go yet. I'm not ready. his words were, if this is God's way and you need to go, I understand. It's not that I'm ready for it. But if this is what needs to happen, I understand. For me, I'm not there yet. I still look at him every day and I want to be with him. And when I was chasing him around the IU East campus, and he wasn't wanting me to chase him anymore, it was really about, I can't see my, look down the road, I can't see my life with him not in it. And that for me is a big deal. So it's like, okay, I'm 53, he's 61, there's still time, but I don't see my life without him in it. And our marriage is much different now than it was. When you first get married, you're all excited and your heart goes pitter patter, and then mine does. It just goes slower, pitter patter. So we're in a stage where he's my best friend and we do life together. So that's what I'm afraid of. I'm not ready to let him go. And I'm afraid that time had come and I don't want it to be here. If that's what nothing else really scares me.
That's powerful. It's a true love story. I mean, really, you know, everybody's, when you think of a love story, you think of this just beautiful, everything's perfect, but it's not.
No,
right?
it is not.
You're chasing him around at IU, right? He finally slows down and he falls in love and you fall in love. Yeah. You get to where the challenges of not being able to have children.
Yeah.
All the different challenges. I mean, even though they were good opportunities to switch those jobs, they're still challenges, right? It changes your life. You get the cancer diagnosis for the first time. You're clear, or you're told you're clear, and then you get it again. And what do you say through the whole thing? You're not afraid of dying? You're afraid of leaving your husband.
I know where I'm with the Lord. Right? I mean, he's my Savior. And I mean, this earth isn't the funnest place to be in sometimes, right?
You're right. Yeah.
I mean, this doesn't give us, joy is a choice. Happiness is a choice. Those are choices. And waking up out of the bed every day is a choice. Like, I'm getting out of bed. Okay. Here we go. I'm reading the book, Let Them. Have you read that yet? Mm-hmm. It's a newer book that's out right now. And one of the things that she talked about, the authors, that she struggled at their most difficult time in their life financially just to get out of bed. And she started this routine of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. You know, that's how she would get herself out of bed every day. So, I mean, if it's my time to be with the Lord, I am good. But you're right. I'm just not ready to leave Tim yet.
It's pretty awesome. All right. We're going to try to land this plane.
You land it. It's been great to be with you guys.
Oh, it's been great. But I got 2 final questions.
Oh, okay.
If you could sit on a park bench and have a conversation with someone living or deceased, who would it be and why?
Thanks for giving me a heads up on this. Because I think in different phases of your life, it would be a different person. Right now, where I'm at is my great-grandmother, first female to be licensed to be a preacher in the UPC church, had breast cancer and survived in a time that I don't know how she survived, but she did. And she was a prayer warrior. Like, I would come home from school, that's where we'd go, was her house. And she was on the floor on her face, and that's how she prayed. And you would hear, like, out loud. So I think I would love to sit down with her and talk about her adversities, her challenges, because I know she had faith challenges too. So how did she was just my great-grandma then. But now I'd really want to dig into all that with her. So that's where I would be today. Yeah.
That's a great answer.
Yeah.
You've already given us a Bible verse, but maybe is there another Bible verse or a quote when you're just down and out, when you're questioning God, when you're questioning everything that's going on, the doctors and the nurses and all those things, those challenges that you face? Is there a Bible verse? Is there a quote that you lean on?
Well, the Bible verse I still lean on is Jeremiah 29:11, but I would, so I'm a visual person. Everything has to be visual. I mean, I have to have it, goals on a chart in my office. I have to, pictures help me. And that visual for me is still running to him, like running to him, not away, but to. And even in my prayer time, okay, God, I'm running to you. You're going to have to lift me up, pull me across. And you've heard, the footprints of, I carried you the whole way. You look back and you see two footprints, and those are mine. I'm carrying you. And so I think that's where I have to see it. That's where I have to visualize that every day I'm not alone. There's people around me, but for my walk with the Lord and owning that relationship now it's all about me and him.
Amazing. Ben, you got anything to add?
No, I don't know. This whole thing was just amazing. I mean, your faith, I feel like the people that are listening that maybe, aren't strong in their faith or maybe don't know where to start. I feel like wherever we are, we always go back to the same thing of, you feel that doubt. And, in the Bible, he talks about, I forget what scripture it is, but they talk about that doubt that you have where he's like, well, if you believe and, wait, can you feel my unbelief, right? Jesus, can you feel my unbelief?
Doubting Thomas,
Yeah, exactly. And help me in that way. And what happened? He still healed him, right? So I feel like we all have that unbelief and stuff sometimes, but you just ask God to help us with that. And I just feel like it's so beautiful. You're raised in faith, but you still, when you start going through those challenges, you grow stronger in the relationships, right? Like we can know the stories, know all this, but it's our stories. Like we are that testimony. Like each one of us has a testimony. The whole point of our podcast and just your testimony is so powerful. And the relationship with Jesus and your faith is it's awesome. So,
well, it's, I don't want anybody to have to go through what I went through. And maybe I'm just hard headed and God had to catch my attention in a different way than others. I don't know. But it's still about, it has to be real for you. And it has to, your walk, you've gone through that. Both of you have, where it's yours. I mean, it has to be yours. And what life brings to us, we'll get through it. Yeah. I appreciate this. I appreciate the opportunity for you to let me share.
I appreciate you being vulnerable.
Yeah. Well, I'm definitely vulnerable today.
And what'd you say? You came in here saying, I don't have a story.
Yeah.
I know. I've watched all your podcasts. I'm like, I told my husband last night, oh my Lord, I am not one of these people, but if it'll help somebody, hopefully it helps somebody today.
100%.
Yeah.
Well, Misty, we thank you for sharing your incredible journey with us, not just the battles you faced, but the light you continue to shine through your service, your leadership, and your faith. Your story is a reminder that even in life's darkest moments, we can rise, we can serve, and we can lead with purpose. On behalf of Ben and I and Kevin here with BeTempered and everyone listening, I thank you for the impact you made and continue to make in this community. We're better because of people like you.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate y'all.
Thank you.
If somebody wants to connect with you, social media, website, how can they get in touch with you? All those good things.
Yeah. Well, I work at the Y, so they're welcome to call there, but mistyhollis@yahoo.com is my email, and you can reach out to me that way too. And
Social
I'm on
media.
Oh yeah, I'm on Misty D's Hollis on Facebook, Instagram.
There you go.
Absolutely.
There you go. Yeah. I would encourage you to reach out to Misty. She's, as you've heard, you still got that Southern twang.
A little bit. A little bit.
What an awesome story. There's someone out there that needs to hear this. There's one person. There's more than one person out there, but there's so many that are going to be impacted by your story. So everybody continue to like and to share. We appreciate all the love and support that we continue to get with the podcast, and we'll keep this thing rolling into year number 2. Go out and be tempered.
Hi, my name is Allie Schmidt. This is my dad, Dan. He owns Caitlin's Glass.
Thanks, Allie. Things like doors and windows go into making a house. But when it's your home, you expect more, like the great service and selection you'll get from Caitlin's Glass. Vinyl replacement windows from Caitlin's come with a lifetime warranty, including accidental glass breakage replacement. Also ask for custom shower doors and many other products and services. Call 962-1636. Locally owned with local employees for nearly 30 years.
Caitlin's Glass, the clear choice.